Hi everybody, it's Mr. B, Hayfield Secondary School, middle school engineering teacher. This video I'm about to do is a pretty quick video about how to use Whitebox learning to design your CO2 Dragster. So students that are in my class now know exactly what I'm talking about. We've been working on the Dragster project for quite a while, and all the academic part, the quizzes, the background, the research, are all done, and now we're in the engineering phase. We're in the E of STEM, and I've demoed it live in class, and students have always asked, they say, Mr. B, are you going to do one of those tutorial videos that we can follow along? They like them, so that's what this is, okay? So it's going to be a screenshot video, and I'm just going to go to the screen in a second, and I'll narrate it, of course. Going to go through it kind of quick. The students are somewhat familiar with Whitebox, and going to show them step by step. It is going to be kind of quick, and here we go. So let me switch to screen mode, and the first thing I have to do, of course, is to bring up the app, and I think I'm on the wrong screen because I think I'm recording over here. All right, so let me get logged in real quick. And so the students know how to do this. They're logging into the Dragster module. And so I'm not going to review this stuff. Let me change my screen resolution just a little bit. And we're in engineering now. Engineering is building things, designing and building things. It takes a second to load, so here we are. So the menu items for building the Dragster, they're organized on the left side of the screen, you see here, and they really are organized pretty much in the order that you want to use them. And the legend here, the way this works, is to see that menu item, you click on, it looks like an eye. You click on the eye and you can see it. And then right next to the eye is a wrench. It means tools that are associated with that menu item. And you see when I turn them on and turn them off, they appear and disappear, okay? So first step in building a Dragster, we start with a blank, a wood blank. And that's what appears on the screen. That is for step one in building our Dragster. So we want to be able to see the blank. And students that are in my class have seen me hold these up many, many times. This is a balsa wood blank. We also have basswood. We're going to be using the balsa wood. It is the lighter of the two woods. And click back to screen mode. And so, but we want to be able to see it because it really helps you visualize what you're doing. So you see, and it draws a 3D representation of the blank. Now we are going to go ahead and leave all of these items defaulted. We're going to use balsa wood instead of basswood. We're going to use the large blank, etc., etc. Okay, so there's really nothing to do here. So just click done, make it go away. Leave the eye on. I like to see this view here. Well, we're going to talk about the upper profile. That's the next item on the list. Let's take a look at that. Now I already have one in here. I'm going to delete it so we can start from scratch. And then there's the tools, all right? Now, I already have this profile because it remembers what you did before. And if you just want to get rid of it, if you notice, there's a little trash can symbol right here. Instead of deleting each one of these points, I can just click the trash can, and it means get rid of everything. Okay, so what do we mean by upper profile, lower profile, and top profile? Well, what we mean is when we're looking at this car, for example, this is a finished car. And we compare it to the raw blank, okay, obviously they look a lot different. So the upper profile is if we were to draw a line just on the top of this car. And I have one that maybe is more representative. So here you go. This is one that's in progress. Never got to finish it because COVID. So we need to draw that profile. So here is the top profile of the car. Now we used to do this on pencil and paper. and old school. And I'm so glad to be using Whitebox. And so we used to actually do this on pencil and paper, and we would draw with a pencil the side profile of the car. And there's an upper profile and there's a lower profile. But we're doing it all in this CAD-like program here. Make life a lot easier. And then there's a top profile. We'll talk about that in a minute. So when we talk about the upper profile, let's say I want a car that looks like this. We need to draw something like that on this wood blank. So we would effectively end up drawing something like that. So you see this black line? Okay, that is the upper profile that I'm talking about. Let's get into Whitebox and do it in the CAD program. Switch back. All right, so here we are. The way we do this, there are just three little things that you need to play with here. We're going to draw points along this balsa blank, and Whitebox will connect them for us. In Whitebox, if you hover over these items in the menus, they will pop up and tell you what they do. The first one is a plus sign. That means add a point. The next one, if you hover over it, says move point. And the third says delete point. I think a demonstration is more productive at this point. I'm going to add some points. So I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to start adding points to my upper profile. And you see as I move my mouse around, it has some very accurate rulers that move left to right and up and down. Keep in mind, when you draw, you do have to start all the way at the back. So you want to start at 0. See how that side-to-side ruler, I move it all the way back till it says 0? We do have to start all the way at the back. And I'm just clicking, and it's adding points, and it's connecting them for me. Now, don't spend a lot of time doing this, and you'll see why in a second. Just add some points. I like to add, I don't know, 6 or 7 points, 5 points, whatever you want. Just add some points, and it crudely draws that upper profile. Well, now we can move over to the next item, the next function in here in points, and it's move point. So if I click on one of those, now I can move those points around. Now you can move them wherever you want, but now I'm going to refine my upper profile. So that's why I said don't worry about when you add them the first time, because we're going to come back and remove them and refine them. And I'm moving these around to something that I want. And I'm going to do something a little silly here on purpose, okay? And we'll talk more about that later. So there's my side profile. That's what the side of my car is going to look like on that top there, all right? Well, now we just go down to the next item in the list. And I know I'm going fast, guys, so make sure whenever you need to, you pause this video and then you do what I just showed you to do. Don't try to keep up with the video, because I've used this tool a lot and I know how to use it really fast. This is not a live tutorial where I would go slow. This is a recorded tutorial where I can go fast, but you can pause me. Don't you wish you could do that in class? Pause, Mr. B. All right, let's go to the lower profile now. I want to see it, so I click on the eye, and I want to do the tools, and I want to get rid of that one that's there. So I can either get rid of the points one at a time. See this delete point? I can click on points and see how they just go away. All right. Or if I want to get rid of all of them on the lower profile, see this is lower profile, I just hit the trash can. Whatever you want to do. All right, so I'm going to add points to my lower. So this is the bottom part of the car. And I'm just going to add some, and it's going to connect them for me. And I'm going to go down here. And you do have to go all the way to the end of this one, and there you go. So that is my lower profile from the side view. All right, so that is this. So I drew my top profile, and I drew my bottom profile, lower profile they call it, upper profile, lower profile, from a side view. But instead of pencil and paper, I did it using this CAD program. You can also play around with some of these other features, like shape is kind of neat. If you click on it, it will smooth out all your lines for you. And also, you can also go back to the upper profile. Remember, this is a computer, this is a file. You can go back and redo, undo, erase, start all over again, all that stuff. So don't freak out about like trying to get it perfectly right at the very beginning. So I just went back up to upper profile just by clicking on the tool. And I'm going to use the smooth lines for that one too. And I'm going back to lower profile, all right? And I want to move some of these around. Yes, I'm moving fast, but you know why. You can pause me at any time. Okay, now, there's my upper profile, my lower profile. Now, this is where you kind of got to think a little bit outside the box, like it always says over my shoulder, right? There's more than just a side profile to a three-dimensional object, and you remember this when you did your 3D keychain, right? A three-dimensional object has all these different views. You have the top and the side and the front. And in SketchUp, remember, you could orbit all around it. Well, we're defining the raw shape of this car, and this is going to be the raw shape. This is not the finished shape. This is not fully cut out. This is not fully sanded. But this is the raw shape here, or rough shape, I should say. But remember, it's got this side view, but it's also got the top view. So what does it look like if I'm looking straight down on this car? Well, let's start at the back. So it's kind of wide at the back, and then it narrows down, and it stays narrow all the way up to the front, and then it flares back out. Now, I'm not per se drawing this car in Whitebox. I'm just kind of using it as an example. But I think I'll make my my top profile like a bird's eye view, like you were over top of this looking down, or you're a drone looking right down on it, okay? So let's go back to the app. Again, pause me whenever you need. Let's look at that top profile. Click on the eyeball. Click on the tools. And notice it rotates it around. Now this is one I've already drawn. All right. Now, here's a cool thing. Very cool. There's a lot of cool things about this program. Your car needs to be symmetric. So that means this side, okay, it needs to be symmetric, what we call bilaterally, okay? So if we cut this car down the middle, the left side and the right side have to be mirror images of each other. Well, we used to have to draw that. So this would be our top profile. And we used to have to draw that. We'd draw one side, and then we'd try to draw the other side and make sure they were symmetric, mirror images of each other. And there were some tricks you could do to do that, but be honest with you, it was challenging to get that just right, okay? Now this student, and honestly, I don't know who this student was. They didn't write their name on it. They did a pretty good job, but notice how the left side and the right side are pretty much mirror images of each other. Well, we can do it perfectly on Whitebox because, well, it's a computer. It's what computers do, right? So here we go. Back to the screen. Again, pause me whenever needed. So I'm going to go ahead and do this top profile. I'm going to add points. It's just like when we did the upper and lower. So I'm going to add some points. Click, and it connects them for me. And I'm going to come, and it's kind of nice how these yellow lines, these grid lines, shows exactly where we are. So if I want to line up exactly with that line I drew before, it helps me do that. And then I'm going to flare back out. Again, don't get hung up, doesn't have to be perfect. because you could move them around. And then you go, oh, well, I wanted to do something different. Click on the move point and move it. All right? So there you go. And let me do this a little bit. All right, whatever you want to do, move them around, delete them. You can even add more points. Okay, like I said, don't sweat it. Come on. Oh, I'm not on add point. There we go, add point. The software, I have not found any bugs in this software. So if something isn't working, you might just not be doing it right. So there we go. And you can go with the curve if you want. Now, watch out when you do the curve. If you notice over here, when I curved it, the design actually went outside of the blank. That's not going to fly. So I would actually have to move these points because your design can't be bigger than the piece of wood, right? It's not possible. But I can tweak it. I can change it. Easy peasy. All right? So there you go. Okay, so that is my top view. So remember, top view, and then my upper lower profile. All right? Well, okay. I've drawn my profiles, but I'm having trouble imagining just what is this going to look like. The human beings are designed, our brains think in 3D because we live in a 3D world. So when we see 2D representations of things, it's kind of hard for us to put it all together and go, well, what is that thing really going to look like? Ha-ha! That's okay, Whitebox solves that problem. So just click on rough solid and magical things will happen. Click on rough solid. I'm going to turn off all these other views for a second. See all the eyes? I'm turning them all off, all of them. And I just have rough solid. And you're like, Mr. B, what is that? Well, come down here to the viewing menu down here and click on rotate. And now I can hold my mouse down. And remember how you could orbit around and rotate the keychain? Well, guess what? I can do that here too. It's a three-dimensional object. Now, I got a pretty good view because now my brain that likes things in 3 dimensions is looking at a 3D representation of what it is I just drew in 2 dimensions. And now my brain goes, oh, I get it. And actually, I'm looking at it going, you know what? This is terrible. Honestly, this is terrible. What is this up here? What was I thinking when I drew that? So, do we have to start all over again? Do we have to throw this out and go, oh, I blew it here? No, we don't. All right. Just click on the lower profile and the upper profile again and change them. This is lower profile. I'm going to do something about the front part. And so I want to move this point here. Actually, I'm just going to delete that point. Gone. Oh, maybe that looks a little better. And maybe I want to move one of these other points. And notice what it does. It actually updates it in real time. And I can still go back using my 3D orbiting viewing tools and say, oh, does that look better? So it fixes it in real time. And if I make changes, like moving these points, okay, it'll do it in real time. So, oop, that was, I didn't mean to move that, but it did. It's paying attention pretty well, isn't it? And I like to turn the views off so I can see just the rough solid. All right, there we go. All right. Now, yes, that does not look very aerodynamic, right? There's a reason for that. Because we're going to skip down. So here we've designed the body in this section. This is to start doing axles and bearings and wheels and things like that. It's going to be another video. But we can start doing some analysis. So look down here. We have some built-in analysis tools for mass, friction, and drag. Remember the big three I kept talking about when we were working on the dragster? I kept talking about the big three things that we need to minimize and control, I should say, in designing our dragster was mass, friction, and drag. And the Whitebox research section was broken up like that too. Remember, we had a mass worksheet. We had motion as well too, but we had mass worksheet. We had a friction worksheet. We had a drag. I think that was a quiz. But these are the main three areas. Well, Whitebox, built in to their app, we're going to help you analyze those three things. And so let's go back to Whitebox. Here we are. All right. So let's click on mass. So just click on the eyeball, okay? And it has to run some numbers. Oh, by the way, this is very important. Whitebox, doing all this 3D rendering and all of this analysis tools and stuff like that, it is maxing out your laptop. It is using the resources of your laptop probably like no other app you're using on it does. So you need to make sure that you have a fresh, ready to go laptop. I probably should have said this at the beginning, huh? Okay, well, I'm saying it now. You need to restart your computer because you're going to be doing stuff in Whitebox, like using these analysis tools, that it's going to be like, oh, it doesn't work. Or you're going to try to do that rough solid, that 3D orbit, and it doesn't quite work. That's because you may not have restarted your laptop in a long time, and it's got a lot of that digital clutter in it that I tell you about. You need a clean PC and all of its resources, because this app is a beast, okay? It's doing a lot of things that require a lot of horsepower, and it cannot stand having any of this digital clutter around your laptop. So if you're having problems, don't worry. Just save your car and restart your computer and come back into Whitebox. And I have never seen it not work. That always works, okay? All right, back to the app. Here we go. We'll talk more about this in a little bit, but I am going to give you a quick demo of this. The mass. So look at this nice analysis it does. It's showing us the weight of the front wheels and the front axle, all that good stuff. Rear wheels, rear axle. But here's the one I want to pay attention to the most. The yellow one, all right? That is showing us the weight of the body. In other words, that rough solid, that piece of balsa that we have just designed. It is telling us it weighs 26 grams. Well, remember, we want to minimize our mass. We want to minimize our weight. Because the lighter something is, the faster it's going to go. It's, we talked about that to death. It's like, which can you throw further, a baseball or a bowling ball? All right, we've talked about that to death. So wonder what we can do about the weight of the body, okay? It also tells us what the weight of the CO2 cartridge is, which we can't do anything about. The CO2 cartridges come in a box and they weigh 25 grams, that's it. But we sure can control the weight of the body. So it's at 25 grams now, but check this out. I'm going to go to my upper profile. Just click on the eye. Click on the tool. Now, keeping in mind, if I hover over this, it's telling me my body weighs 25.29 grams. What happens if I change my upper profile, like I'm going to pull this stuff down, make my car a little skinnier. Ooh, I'm down to 23 grams. I'm going to have to turn that off a little, just for a second, because it's kind of in the way. And again, you can leave your rough solid on if you want, your lower profile. Oh, that's refined solid. We don't need that now. It's kind of annoying anyway. All right. So I just made some changes, okay? Now, if we go back to mass, wow, I got my car all the way down to 19.95, 20 grams, okay? So when we make changes to our car, it updates them immediately. Reduces the mass, okay? Now, yes, you do want a light car, but you also want a car that doesn't violate spec and doesn't break when you race it. One thing you need to notice here, you see this guy right here? I'm going to turn off the mass. This shadowy figure of the balsa wood blank, notice this hole here? That is where the CO2 cartridge goes. And I cannot cut through this, so this blue line is where I would cut the car. So I can't violate what that CO2 cartridge is. So I do need to move this up just a smidgen. And it would actually give you an error later on when you are checking with your car and trying to finalize it. It would say, no, you're too close to this CO2 hole here. Now, I'm going to change some stuff back on purpose. So that's the mass. I'm going to put this big crazy bump in it like a shark fin. And I know I'm going fast. That's okay. Pause me, rewind me. All right. Let's go back to analysis, and then this video is going to come to an end because I just wanted to show you how to draw this stuff. I'm going back to drag under analysis. Click. All right. Well, what it is doing, and I'm going to turn off these other views for just a second. What it is doing an analysis, a drag analysis like it is in a wind tunnel. And if you remember, we watched a video about this when they were doing the Ford GT wind tunnel testing, and it's color coded. And so the colors are right here. Red is the highest air pressure. That means a lot of drag. And this nice blue here is the lowest air pressure, means very little drag. So we have that nice blue back here because no air is going to be hitting back there, right? But we have some orangey red right here in the front. Well, that kind of makes sense because that is not aerodynamic. The air is going to come and plow right into that thing I pulled up. So we probably want to do something about that. So that is my upper profile. So can I modify my upper profile? Of course I can. I'm just going to pull that thing back down. And now when I look at my drag analysis, it's gone. That orangey red thing that was right here is gone. So you can do a full drag analysis of your car online, 3D, before you build a thing. So you can try all sorts of things. You can work on the mass of your car, minimizing the mass. You can work on the drag and surface friction. We'll talk about that later, okay? Well, that's where we're going to stop it for right now. You're going to be working on the body of your car. Do not worry about the axles and wheels. I know a lot of you are going to do it anyway, but don't. Work on the body of your car. Let's get the mass of your car, and the drag under control. Okay? Pretty cool app, huh? Remember, if you're having any problems with this app, make sure to say, oh, I should show you how to save it. Make sure to save and restart. To save, all right, look at the screen. Click on File. Click on Save. And you type in a name, like Mr. B's. Oh, it doesn't like apostrophe. So if I do Mr. B apostrophe S, it won't like that apostrophe. Mr. B's Block 1 car. You got to give it a name. And save it as a working copy. Do not click Save and Enter in Competition. You are not ready to enter in the competition. Save working copy. It saves the working copy. So I can come back here and I can actually have more than one car design, which I encourage you. Try a couple of different car designs. And you can actually test them not just in the analysis, but you can also test them on the track before you enter the competition, okay? And we'll talk more about that. That's where I'm going to leave it for right now. Got to get ready for the kids. They're coming in. They're going to be banging on the door just any second now. And going to have a good day. So yeah, body, focus on the body design, upper profile, low profile, top profile, the analysis tools, mass and drag. Try a couple different designs too. Make sure to save your work as a working copy. All right. I know I keep looking away because camera's there, but I'm actually over. So I see myself over here.